Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I am so damn glad you're with me on this Friday. Bud Light Blue Friday. Our friends from Zinc on the inbound, the ice-cold Bud Light. And here is what is spectacular. We are live at a location that you absolutely love, and with good reason, Gigi's Bar and Grill. I call it 71st in Benford. Reality means that it's actually 71st in Graham Road, but it's so easy to find, so easy to get to, and we have so much to talk about. It is glorious on this Friday, and really zero reason why. It's easy to get to. I mean, no complaints whatsoever. Zero reason why you cannot join us and pick up some tickets to Sunday's game. That's a $425. Remember that, too. It starts with me at 12:30. The BullseyeEventGroup.com Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. We affectionately reference it as the Ride to Kickoff, coming up on Sunday morning. That's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And then as we go to the Colts pregame huddle in the American Family Insurance Touchdown Town at 1:30 with me and Bill Brooks and Joe Wrights and Casey Valier and Rick Venturi, we will also add to, and I got to start talking with a twang whenever they join with me, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. But then we get Country 97.1 Hank FM. I got to start talking like that, like I'm from Greene County again. I tried to shed that in the list back in the day. So when I bring up Country 97.1 Hank FM, that's how I have to do it. So remember that coming up on Sunday, because there are so many sporting events with what's going on with the Colts game and that coverage and the Pacers, and this weekend in general. We're going to go through it all. This is where our sports all collide at this particular intersection. Yeah, probably a bad analogy, but this is where everything comes together when you think about it. Last night, I'm at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. A shout-out to the crowd and the honoring of Nancy Leonard last night. That was outstanding. And then started the game. And I know you want me to rip ass on the officials. And listen, I told Jake this as much. What's up, Matty? Good to see you, pal. I told Jake this. I don't like any of those three dudes they had last night. I don't like any of the three. Now, I will tell you, the Pacers had an opportunity a couple of different times. They were up 5 and then went empty possessions in overtime, and I felt maybe if you score right there, maybe you're going to have a chance. And they had a really good chance, and they didn't get it done. And I know that, like me and everybody else, you're upset because you saw SGA go to the free throw line about 100 times. The problem that you have, and if you want to blame the officiating, you don't blame it because it's skewed to get this guy to the free throw line. You blame it because that's how they started calling the game. Once you call all that flopping and crapola and the head bobbing and any of the contact, see what happens is the reason why Rick does not going to challenge any of this stuff is because if there is a little bit of contact, then it's going to be justified and not overruled in a challenge. So it's a waste of a challenge. It's a waste of space. And it all depends on how the game is officiated early. And that's how it was officiated early. He got the benefit of the whistle just like he did last year and just like he does right now. I will tell you this. There's going to be at some point where he's not going to get a benefit of the whistle, and he's going to say, well, wait a minute, where is it? You know, I get this head bob all the time, and, I create the contact, and I get the foul calls. At some point, he's not going to get that. But he is living in the world as the MVP where he is getting that right now, and I find it really hard to too much of an argument about it until, well, I do want to argue about it, don't get me wrong. But you go for 55, and what's funny, that may have been the most boring-ass 55 points scored by an individual player in NBA history. Can I say that? I think it's accurate. It was boring. It was boring. On 15 made field goals, but 23 of 26 from the floor. He is the MVP. He's an outstanding player, and he is getting the benefit of an incredible whistle. Now, Jake referenced Lou Dort, because while everybody else is going to be held to the standard in which, hey, you know what, any contact whatsoever, we're going to have a whistle, Lou Dort's out there running around like Dick Butkus playing linebacker on everybody. Did you guys notice that it may have been getting tired, may have been something else, but when he was getting switched over to Pascal Siakam, he was grabbing at shirts. He was doing absolutely everything. And that's where this whole close contact whistle stuff, for whatever reason, stops with Dort. I'll give you a great example. He was whistled for 4 fouls last night. He could have been whistled for 14 fouls last night, really in the second half, especially when he tried to lock down late Pascal Siakam. I mean, it was all hands. It was all physical. And the moral of the story is that's where this OKC team is right now. They're going to get away with that. The MVP, their best player, is going to get away with that. Their team, what's everybody talk about with their team before anything else? The team concept and how they play defense. They play defense physically. They're going to get away with that until further notice. And I don't know what more you can do about it but compete against it. And I'm going to give credit to a team that lost in double overtime last night. They may have lost for the season Tyrese Halliburton. They may have seen the defection of Miles Turner. You saw last night with the shoulder situation with Andrew Nembhard. He went down, didn't play. Aaron Nesmith, who didn't have a great game by any stretch of the imagination, fouls out. They had lineups in there that you thought, man, am I drunk? What's happening here? That's a weird lineup. But you get nothing from the pivot. I mean, absolutely excruciatingly awful pivot play. And one of these days, I'm hoping, like people were saying, well, I think you need to start Jay Hall. Hey, I think you need to start. How about Wiseman? He didn't get any clock. And, what about Ijax? They didn't stick with him. Well, the reason why they didn't stick with him is because he got a foul on every screen that he set. So somebody needs to teach him how to do that without committing a foul. He's a walking foul attempt out there, and he adds nothing, or at least so far he's added nothing in game number 1. Hall, on the other hand, knocked down a 3. I think he did have a block, but he didn't do much. And Tony Bradley didn't do much whatsoever, I'm telling you. And then James Wiseman didn't get any run. And what did I tell you? One of the biggest deals of this season is going to be somebody that most of you had told me you were glad left. And you were happy when he left because he doesn't rebound. He can't block like he once did. He can't score. You can't count on him. He disappeared in the postseason, disappeared in the finals. But he is going to be the biggest omission outside of the obvious in Tyrese Halliburton of this team. Because, again, he is something that at least occasionally you can count on, and certainly in spurts. When he gets hot, you can count on it. And the other thing that also is true, you can always count on his reputation. These other guys you can't. And I thought you saw that last night. But beyond the criticism, beyond the critique, the other thing that you saw last night, which makes me proud to watch this team, even when it's disappointing in a double overtime loss. I'm not celebrating losing or celebrating a team being a loser or the first loser or any of this bull crap you guys talk about with sports in this era. What I'm talking about is being very fond of a team that plays, for lack of a better description, balls out. They are a tough-ass group. And really, it doesn't matter who goes in there. They play tough. That is the type of effort you're going to see. And a lot of times, you're going to see them lose those games. But most of the time, what we know them to be, what they have been, the biggest reason why I love this group still and I'm never going to miss a game, and I firmly believe in them, even though there's not a lot of reason to believe in them. The reason why I do is because I just think whomever they slot in as a whole, and especially their core group, I think they're tougher than most everybody else. Maybe not OKC, and certainly when you mix in the talent, and OKC is a tough-minded group too. But I happen to think this Pacer group is just tougher than everybody else. And to me, that matters. Being tough, playing that game matters. Playing through crap matters. Knowing that you're trying to guard somebody, how you doing? Guard somebody that's going to get the benefit of a nonstop whistle. I don't know how that doesn't drive you nuts. That matters. Finding yourself without so many players, finding yourself without Benedict Mathurin, who had an outstanding game last night too, and fouling out. And shout out to Mathurin because he tried to do it all. He is so much trying to be what everybody so wishes for him to be. Last night was, I thought, a great example of it. He played his rear end off last night on both ends. Now, it led to him ultimately fouling out. But 36 and 11, you absolutely will take. And more so than that, you combined his skill set, to me, with just how tough he is. And he is a tough dude. He still doesn't. He got to the free throw line 17 times. I think he could have got there just as much as SGA last night. Yeah, he was moving and finishing through contact too. But that's a one thing that you can play off of. Again, I'm not going to go all that way. I could spend the entire 3 hours just pissing and moaning about those three pipsqueaks with whistles last night, but I won't. What I'm going to tell you is that the thing that you should be happy about, even in that disappointing double overtime loss, was just how tough this team is, and that continues. And there's no margin for error anymore with the injuries. You imagine they had their two high scorers and guys you count on. The first night out played 44-plus minutes. Mathurin and Siakam, 45 and 44 respectively. I'm assuming that's probably the last thing that Rick Carlisle and the Pacers wanted to see, especially Pascal Siakam, 44 minutes. Because you would like to think that help is on the way, but you don't know when and you don't know in what capacity. And now you have even more of a mystery with the injury of the shoulder with Andrew Nembhard. Although last night was also a big deal. Last night was a moment to where you saw, did you not? A couple of different things. But you saw just how important T.J. McConnell is. Because T.J. McConnell, when he is on the floor, is going to push that pace. I thought that the pace, and I expected it, I thought the pace was exceptionally clunky last night. And here's the reason why. They had to go to a lot of ISO situations. You had a lot of dribbling, whether it was Mathurin or Siakam, because last night in those situations, those were your bucket getters. It was not that free-flowing offense for a wide-open jump shot or an extra pass or a back cut or a high ball screen and roll or a high ball screen, roll and pop. It was basically when they really knew that they had to and wanted to score, it was their guy individually against OKC's defensive guy. And then Lou Dort trying to put Siakam in a headlock defensively. So that is weird, and I hate it, but that's just the life in which they have to live right now because you don't have Halliburton, because you don't have McConnell. And I don't think even Nembhard is going to be able to get them back to being as recognizable with pace of play. And that's how Rick wants to play. He wants to get up and down the floor as much as he did when they were healthy a year ago. But I would suggest that is damn near impossible. But what isn't for this group is their toughness. That is always always prevalent. I thought Ben Shepherd gave them fantastic minutes last night and scoring 15 points. I thought Jarris Walker, most of the time last night, gave you reasons why he could be and might be, and you hope to be. And when you look at it, Obi Toppin finished the game playing the 5. And until further notice, you're probably going to get a lot of Obi Toppin finishing the game at the 5. And really, I think that is going to be their best lineup until we see somebody come back or things change. But Obi was broke from distance last night. I mean, hell, he had a wedgie. I can't remember the last time I saw an NBA player shoot a wedgie from distance. But he struggled from 3, but did get it done in other capacities too. And that's just what Rick Carlisle and company are going to have to do right now. They're going to have to try to cobble something together and see that it sticks. And the NBA absolutely did them no favors with this early season bullcrap schedule. I mean, the rest of the NBA world completely blanks them over as far as not even giving them the credit where credit is deserved for an incredible run last year. And then you go, oh, by the way, too, you lose your best player in the first quarter of Game 7 for the entirety of the season. And, we're going to go ahead and set you off on this ridiculous start of the season. Now, we'll tell you, I would much rather it be easy at the end when you can ramp things up and start playing well. But the start of the season is going to be incredibly difficult. And I mean this weekend, starting this weekend on the road for the Pacers. Disappointing 141-135 double overtime loss to the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder last night. I did want to give a shout out. First guy off the bench for OKC. Did you guys see that? Brooks Barnizer. Yes, the pride of Lafayette. Jeff, the pride of open gyms everywhere, and scored his first career points in the NBA last night as a player. In all, logging 14 minutes and 2 points in his activity last night off the bench for OKC. And let's face it, too, you're going to give up a double nickel to SGA when he shoots 9,000 free throws. A.J. Mitchell, that was the difference maker in that. That's what you did not expect. That guy off the bench, 38 minutes and 26 points, and he had some big buckets in those extra sessions too. That was the difference. If you want to go beyond the 55 of the MVP, that was the difference. I thought everybody else with OKC, Chet Holmgren didn't do anything spectacular. Well, that everybody else was in check, playing without Gaetan Wallace and Alice Caruso, Jalen Williams. But, Mitchell, I felt, thank you, my brother, I appreciate that, I felt was the absolute difference. We can talk about that with you Pacer fans at 239-1070. The one thing I feel really good about is you don't have to ever question how hard these guys are, because they are that, and it doesn't matter who they slot in. That is a tough group, and you witnessed that in game number 1, I thought, last night, even in that loss. We'll get to a weekend matchup and then a tough start on the road for the Pacers coming up in just a bit. I should mention Gigi's Bar and Grill, 71st in Benford or 71st in Graham Road is our location. Bud Light Blue Friday, and our friends from Zinc are here. We do have Titans Colts tickets. I should mention this. With the football toss, you can ultimately win that thing and get signed up to win a trip to Vegas as well. I should mention that more than I do. The football toss is in the back of the room right here. We've got that going for you, the Ice Cold Bud Light, and your chance to get signed up for Titans Colts tickets coming up on Sunday for that 4:25 start. The start of week number 8 of the NFL season last night. It was all Chargers over the Vikings. I got to give a shout out too. I went to Tommy S. Tommy S. of Coach's Tavern took me to the game last night, and we suffered our first loss together at a Pacer game. We went to almost all the postseason games. First loss together was last night. But a shout-out to Tommy S. for taking me. It was awesome. I love being there. The environment was awesome. The outcome was not obviously what you wanted. Purdue coming up later on tonight. That is Purdue on the road at Kentucky. I believe that is the SEC Network. It is called an exhibition game, but if you heard Matt Painter on this show a couple of days ago, he described to you exactly why he wanted to do it. Whether it's Creighton or Arkansas the past 2 years, they have gone on the road in environments that would be conducive to toughen his team up and get him used to that. And especially coming up on the 13th of November on the road in Tuscaloosa against Alabama, they get Kentucky. SEC Network later on tonight. That is a 6 o'clock start. Now, IU and Darren DeVries, they get Baylor at Gainbridge Fieldhouse coming up on Sunday. That's at 1. That'll be a precursor to what certainly will be the Colts and the Titans coming up at Lucas Oil Stadium. So we got that for you. Get 425 with the Titans and the Colts coming up on Sunday as well. They go on the road to Pittsburgh next week, and then really, really on the road to Berlin, Germany against Atlanta after that. 3 more games, in fact, at 6-1 right now are the Colts. 3 more games leading up to the bye week in the month of November. Looks like Josh Downs is back. We'll get into that discussion. Joel A. Erickson of the Stars going to join us. Coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock hour, our good friend Mike Wells of ESPN Radio, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher. 25-point spread, is it? With IU and UCLA at noon tomorrow in Bloomington. Anybody want to go with that one? Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher, is going to join us. We're going to talk about IU and their season to date, the second-ranked Hoosiers with the voice of the Hoosiers. That and as well, the basketball Hoosiers with Don coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour. And Bob Lovell, not everybody's playing. I think for the most part, classes 5 and 6 have the Friday off with maybe a couple of exceptions. And everybody else in action. We'll get into that action on this Friday night, the first of the postseason in high school football. Bob Lovell of Indiana Sports Talk is going to join us coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Gigi's Bar and Grill, again, on a Bud Light Blue Friday. I should mention, because she's sitting right over there, one of my friends. I work at B105.7 on Saturday night. The All-Request JMV Takeover, 6 until midnight, powered by Big Red Liquors. The awesome, the incredible, and I will say this, the soothing and curing voice of one Ann Richards is right over there. I get soothed and cured when I hear you. I do. When you fire it up, B105.7. So Ann and family over there, and we appreciate them. We're getting them a ice-cold bucket of Bud Light right there. Thank you guys very much for joining us. All right, quick break. We shall return with Bob Lovell on the other side. I'm looking for you right here, too. Matt's here. He wants some tickets. Got a new gig. You guys help our friend Matt get a new gig. I'm very proud of you guys. Well done. Derek is here as well. If you missed the show yesterday, awesome. It was Chase Briscoe, who is in the Final Four for a NASCAR championship, the pride of Lawrence County, Indiana, and Mitchell, Indiana, the former Blue Jacket, was on the show yesterday. And a very unique, per usual, conversation with a very important piece to this Colts defense in that secondary, Kenny Moore, the second on the show yesterday. The podcast with each 107.5. thefan.com. All right, let's take a break. We shall return. Dev's the on-site engineer. James back at the studio. And we've got your chance at Titans Colts tickets, but you got to get here. It's a destination location inside 465, if you will. 71st and Benford. It is an institution known as Gigi's Bar and Grill. Great food. And I was talking a little bit earlier. Our good friends at Gordon Food Service, James, they're very happy with the work they do here. And I can tell you, because I'm a big cottage cheese, Gordon Food Service cottage cheese fan, that's what they have right here. That's how top shelf that is. James, have you ever had Gordon's Food Service cottage cheese? Ever in your life? Never? No? Well, let me tell you, James. Beyond legit. Shout out to Gordon's Food. All right, let me take a break, and we'll come back. Somebody says, I can't tell, is this Matt Taylor or JMV? That's from Adam. What? Of course it's me. It's me, it's JMV. That's Ernest T. Bass quote. JMV, doesn't matter. Miles is gone now. This is our team. It was with you. I should have kept him, but it doesn't. No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying this is something you're going to have to get your eyeballs used to in the pivot. And even those that hated Miles, you can also just understand that if he was off on a night, that's one thing, but his reputation would prevail. These guys really don't do anything, and they need to start doing something. A little bit of something at some point. Hopefully they will. Quick break. We shall return. That is the text line at 317-239-1070. The stream, the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. I talked to Matt a little bit earlier today. If you want to become a AAA member, I think that's a smart idea. AAA.com today. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Hans, Bobby, I'm your white knight.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm John. I'm feeling really good about this weekend. Hey, so we got the JMV takeover tomorrow night, right? And it's nothing but the 90s. But for some of you, it runs you away. And I can't lie. When an era-specific kind of runs you away, I get a little bit pissy. And I'm not going to get a little bit pissy because that's what I'm going to do. It doesn't matter. If you have a request, I don't want to play like stuff off of YouTube from last week like we have now in music. But if we want to go 70s, 80s, 90s, there'll be a lot of 90s because people do like the 90s. But I'll do whatever you want to do. Here's what I hate. I hate saying, oh, it's nothing but the 90s tonight, so, hey, I'm not going to listen. No, it's the JMV takeover where you have no idea what's coming up next, which is exactly in music today why you need to listen. Okay? And with that in mind, there'll be a lot of 90s coming up tomorrow night. And when we have the 90s, too, we do 90s or whatever, my son Blake, because he's going to some EDM show tonight. Anybody ever hear of anybody named Keizo? EDM? Electronics? Yeah, I know. I'm like my man at the bar up there. I have no idea what you're talking about. Keizo. I know. Keizo sounds like some kind of brand name of mayonnaise or something. But, yeah, Keizo. He's going to see Keizo at the Mural, I think, later on tonight. He always says, hey, can you sneak in some John Summit or some Millennium? So, no, don't worry. Just because we do live a lot in the 90s, I will do what you want me to do because, in essence, that is the JMV takeover on B105.7. 6 until midnight tomorrow night, powered by Big Red Liquors, Gigi's Bar and Grill. We're powered by Bud Light and a Bud Light Blue Friday. We've got ice cold Bud Light, great food, and your chance to win Titans Colts tickets. So I have zero idea understanding why you have yet to arrive. It's a hell of a plan. Get here. 71st and Benford on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He staked out somewhere around Franklin, in Johnson County, getting set. Playoff football, high school-wise, for real, starts for real later on tonight. And Bob Lovell is going to be all over on Indiana Sports Talk. Bob joins us now. Hello, Bob. How are you?
I'm great, John. How are you?
Bob, are we excited about night number one? I know not everybody, the right. 6 and the 5ers, for the most part, get the night off, but are we excited about the beginning stages tonight?
Absolutely. I mean, it's tournament time. I think everybody understands the importance of tournament time. And, I talk about this a lot, and I know people get tired of it, but, if you've gone through this as a player and your family and your friends and your whole life's been around football from the time you were a little kid and you've gone to camps and you played in leagues and all this, there are a lot of kids tonight whose careers come to an end. And it's a hard night. It's an exciting night, but it'll be a bittersweet night in many, many ways.
It will, too. And I know it does kind of shrink the landscape a little bit because you got a couple of classes not participating, but it doesn't make it any less enjoyable across the board, does it?
Not at all. I mean, your dream has always been, I'm assuming, if you're a football player or basketball player or whatever, your dream is to win a sectional. That's that first round of moving on and potentially winning a state championship, but it starts with winning a sectional. And hardest game you'll play will be the first one. I know it's cliched, but that's exactly what it is. This is the toughest game you'll play. And, yeah, you don't have 6A and most of 5A, but you have the other classes playing, and it's incredibly important to them and communities and everybody around the state.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you look at, for example, got a big one down in Mooresville later on today.
Yeah.
Chittard at number 3 at 7-2, and Mooresville at 5-4 is one of those that kind of jumps off the page to us.
Maybe one of the best games in the state, John. It really is. And, it's a matchup of obviously two good teams that have played well, have been maybe not as well as they'd like to play, but sectional 22 is not an easy sectional. Chittard is Chittard. Start there and work your way back. Defending champs in 3A bumped up. Mooresville, very capable team, a physical team, can throw the ball around. Shortridge, Danville's also taking place. Roncalli, Northwood, Addix, and Brebeuf Jesuit. So that's a difficult sectional. But you love what the Trojans have done, historically what they've done. But Mike Gillen, surefire Hall of Fame bet for Football Hall of Fame, tremendous leader at Mooresville. So be prepared for a great game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That's going to be fun. And I dig this, too. I guess that's kind of in my former neck of the woods where I grew up. Not so much, but kind of. But Roncalli, where my son Blake loves and attended high school, at 6-3 on the road at 4A 8-1 Northview. So on the road later on this evening in Brazil. The roadie is long, and the matchup seems to be really good. I love this first rounder.
Well, Northview's a really good team, and as is Roncalli. Roncalli, started out a little slowly, but they're starting to put things together. I remember playing at Brazil when I was in high school, John, and there was a railroad track literally right by the field, and it actually felt like it was on the field. And that is it's a tough place to play over there. Northview's had great success, and so I think this will be a good challenge for Roncalli tonight.
Yeah, the train. Hold on a second. Here comes the train. Let's stop for a minute.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's not coincidental. We never won a game over there.
That is incredible. Hey, how about in 2A, Lapel at Winchester? That's 9-0 Lapel and 8-1 Winchester. That's nice.
Lapel might be one of the best kept secrets around. I mean, they run the table for a reason, and they are a solid team. Both sides of the ball, very, very difficult to score against. Winchester, not a bad football team, playing at Winchester, so that's in Sectional 38. Sectional 38 also has, I think, a really good matchup. Maybe another one of those great matchups around the state tonight is Triton Central at Centerville. Centerville is having a tremendous year, and Triton Central playing very, very well. So this is a really, really good matchup in Sectional 38. Might be one of the toughest sectionals out there.
Bob Lovell with a great segue. I want to give a little bit of love for the pride of Fairland, Indiana, and Triton Central at 8-1 this season, too. And when you look in 2A, I mean, I mentioned Lapel's 9-0, Lutheran, as usual, top quality football program at 8-1, and there's Triton Central as well at 8-1.
Well, Tim Abel has won a state championship in his career when he was in Decatur Central. He is a tremendous football coach. And I just think that, he has had a team that has battled through some injuries to some of his key players. Defensively, they're strong. They don't make too many mistakes. It's a Centerville team that's, over on the eastern side of the state that people don't know a lot about. Ryan Cole has done a fantastic job. They've won 7 to 8 games a year for quite a while, and so it's a consistently good team. These are two consistently good football programs who get a chance to see each other in a tough sectional 38 matchup tonight.
Bob Lovell of Indiana Sports Talks got you. And then everybody coming up next week gets back in the action. He also has all the college football action coming up for you this weekend as well. And you got a couple of noon starts coming up tomorrow, too.
Right.
You've got IU, UCLA, second-ranked IU, which is absolutely awesome and still somewhat surprising to many to say, but beyond legit. And then Purdue. I think Purdue's at home against Rutgers, and it'd be nice to see Purdue get a Big Ten win against Rutgers coming up at noon tomorrow, too.
Yeah, I know it's crazy to say, but I think they keep getting a little bit better. You can see improvement with this group. If you're a Purdue faithful, you can have some faith that things are trending in the right direction, but it would really help with a W tomorrow.
Notre Dame, by the way, is idle. And that would be that coming up with a lot of the colleges. Yeah, a lot of Indiana colleges participating coming up tomorrow as well. Bob's got you covered on all of that and then some. Indiana Sports Talk tonight, tomorrow night. It is the incredible Bob Lovell joining us every Friday right here on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hey, get fueled up down there in Franklin and get fired up for tonight and tomorrow night because you're going to be busy.
I am. I'm looking forward to it, John.
Bob Lovell, thank you very much. Bob Lovell of Indiana Sports Talk right there. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks for having
Andy
me.
Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. You got it. Next Friday, we'll do it again. So, Derek, we have a friend from London, England that's here. We'll see if we can do that. I left a little bit of time here before the top of the hour. We'll do that coming up on the other side. Gigi's Bar and Grill. We're located at 71st in Benford. Bud Light Blue Friday. My friends from Zinc are here. The ice cold Bud Light is here too. But let me tell you, we also have incredible food at Gigi's Bar and Grill. One of the staples on our tour every fall is at 71st and Benford. We would love to see you up here. Wherever you're going, by the way, later on this evening, you can make this stop before, right? Wherever you're going, Gigi's Bar and Grill. Bud Light Blue Friday. We've got that. We've got top of the hour, Joel A. Erickson. Bottom of the hour, we've got Mike Wells of ESPN Radio and Don Fisher, voice of the Hoosiers. Actually, I got to give a shout-out to Don because a little R-table and Don Fisher action for me later on tonight. I'm going to get all the insight with IU with Don, not only in the 5 o'clock hour, but also coming up later on tonight. I will report back with my intel with Don coming up later on tonight at the famous Hour Table down in Bargersville. All right, quick break. We shall return. Got a special guest in country from London, England, coming up on the other side. Hey, James. Can I make sure that this guy doesn't cuss like that guy from Spain I had on back in the summer? Remember? Pacer postseason?
I was just thinking about that, and I was going to say something during the break.
Yeah, because when I had that guy on, and I had to I had to write a letter, I think, or something.
Yeah,
right?
we both got a stern talking to about that one.
Well, I got the biggest because I not only he said it. And then I went right back to him again, and he said it again.
He meant well. You could tell he meant well, but he just didn't quite grasp it.
I don't know if he didn't truly understand that this wasn't Madrid. This was Indianapolis. To write an email, put together an email. Anyway, quick break. We'll come back. I mentioned Joel A. Erickson, Mike Wells, and Don Fisher still to come. More of your pace of response on that text line. Hey, get this thing going. 317-239-1070 about last night. My man Casey has an interesting angle. We'll go with that coming up on the other side as well. Don't go anywhere. The stream, the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
JMV.
Son, you got a panty on your head. You drive fast, eh?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Thank you for joining us. Holy hell, what a Friday at Gigi's Bar and Grill. At Northeast Side of 71st and Benford. 317-239-1070. That is the text line. JMV, I listened to the podcast interview with Omar Cooper Jr. today. Sounds like a good kid and a great rep of IU football. So glad he decided to stay when Coach Sig was hired. You know, the interesting thing, if you mentioned my conversation with IU wide receiver Omar Cooper, that was a couple of days ago, he had mentioned he was going to transfer, got injured in a Wisconsin game going back, I think, to, 2023 maybe? Got injured in a Wisconsin game and couldn't really do it. So he stayed because of injury, but it was the greatest situation he had mentioned of his life right there to stay where he is. The pride of Lawrence North High School, Omar Cooper Jr. It is UCLA and IU tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Your coverage begins right here with Don Fisher, who joins us after 5. 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan. All right, we're live at GG's on a Bud Light Blue Friday. Week 8, Titans Colts. We have tickets to give away. Derek White is a friend of the show. So, Derek, you got in contact with me because you have somebody coming in from across the Atlantic, from London.
The pond. So,
okay.
This tells you the beauty of the YouTube chat. I'm glad you guys didn't get rid of it.
The beauty of the YouTube chat, yes.
So, I met Tony on the morning show YouTube chat, and just randomly he was saying that he was coming up from across the pond to a Pacers and Colts game.
Okay.
So we just got in touch with
each other. And this is Tony right here.
This is Tony from London. And I said, Tony, when you get here, you're going to have to come to a JMV remote with me. And so here he is.
Tony.
Hello.
Good to have you.
Good to be here.
You're from London, England?
Yes.
Oh, really? So how long have you been a Colts fan?
Must be 25 years now.
So there is a friend of this show that may be listening right now. He lives in Ireland.
Okay.
And Andy Waugh actually came out for week number 1, the home opener here. He comes out one time a year. And he is also, obviously, much like you, from Europe, but a big-time fan of the Colts. It's pretty cool. Now, how easy or not easy is it to get information over there?
It's very easy now. It's grown massively. We get lots of games on TV. We get Thursday night games. We get 3 or 4 games on a Sunday. We get Monday, all the games, pretty much.
How long have you been an NFL fan or a Colts fan in general? How far back does that go?
25 years.
Oh, really?
I was in a bar in London many years ago and talking to some Americans, and I was just starting to watch it, and they said to me, you need to follow the Colts. We're 12-0 this season, and we've got this great quarterback called Peyton Manning.
Yeah, good idea.
So ever since then, I've stuck with them. And it's been fantastic. And every year I'm like, one day I'm going to go over there, I'm going to watch a game live. And I'm finally here. It's been amazing.
Is this your first game ever live?
I went to the London game when the Colts came to London.
2016.
My first game here. We went to the Pacers game last night, which was our first ever basketball game.
Tony.
And tomorrow we are going down to Bloomington to the IU game.
Holy crap.
He's doing it up.
Is Derek going with you, or is just kind of just the circumstances?
So I'm here with my friend and neighbor Warren. I've dragged him along.
Hey, Warren.
Warren is not a Colts fan. He's actually a New Orleans Saints fan.
Warren.
But he's come for the Hoosier hospitality, which has been fantastic.
That's why Warren's paying for all this crap today. I tell you, Warren paying for this trip.
I've managed to turn him into an IU and a Pacers fan so far. We've just got to turn him to Colts.
That is awesome, Warren and Tony. That is great.
Now JMV, there is a large contingent of the Blue Crew Europe over there. So I don't know if you remember my friend Lucas, who came over from Amsterdam during the Combine. But they have a whole contingent of Blue Crew Europe over there that are huge Colts fans.
Well, Tony, when they were there in 2016 against the Jaguars, I went too, and I did this show at the Admiralty in Trafalgar Square.
Yeah, I know it well.
And it was awesome. And the Admiralty still follows me on X, too.
They still host different London games. They use it for different teams coming over all the time. I'm there a lot. So
it
I'm
was
in the area.
a great place. And, initially I didn't really want to go because, but the weather was great. The time was great. The Admiralty was fantastic.
People think it's always raining in London.
Yeah,
it's not
it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And everything, I was in a hotel basically a block away from Trafalgar Square on the Admiralty.
Yeah.
And that's a couple of blocks away from Piccadilly. And I was all over. It was a great location.
So I'm a London taxi driver, so I drive the famous black cab.
You probably tried to run over my ass. Because I will tell you this, I don't know how people don't get hit every single second there.
It's a busy place.
Oh, my God. Because, because they got little arrows going, hey, telling you where to go and stuff right there. It was great, didn't it? And hey, Tony, I did mind the gap. I did mind the gap.
The famous saying.
Yeah, I had my Oyster card, and I'm so glad that I went. But even more so, what a great experience for you. So you're going to Bloomington to the IU football game tomorrow.
Yep, tomorrow. So that's going to be a whole new experience for us because college football is something we don't get to see much of. We don't get on TV, really. We get the odd game.
Right.
So that's going to be something new. We can't wait for that. That's going to be great.
Tony, it's fantastic to meet you, man.
You too. It's been great.
It is great. Well, stay on the YouTube chat. Try to make sure. Are you guys going to have to go to New Orleans at some point to see the Saints with Warren?
Warren went last year.
Oh,
I didn't.
Oh, Warren.
But now I might have to. I don't know. I'm going to get him coming back here. I'm going to turn him to a Colt.
When you go to Bloomington tomorrow, stop by the Upstairs Pub. Yeah, that's where I'm going to be here next month and doing a Thursday show live at the Upstairs in Bloomington.
Okay.
The Upstairs Pub. Go by Buffalo's. There's another place, Buffalo's, right. They're really close to one another. And then across the road, there's Nick's English Hut. Hit up Nick's English Hut as well and tell everybody there that I'm Tony and I'm Warren. We're from London, England, and we're here to watch the Hoosiers. And, man, they will love that. They'll love hearing it.
That's great. We've had a great time so far, and everyone's been fantastic. It's great to be here.
Awesome.
And it's very surreal.
That's great, man. Well, hang out for a while. Have some beers with us. Tony, fantastic to meet you.
You too.
Hey, Warren, great to meet you too, pal. Thanks for coming out. Derek, thanks for the introduction, man.
Thanks, John.
That is well done right there. Look who is here. Chris Hagan of Fox 59. Chris, before you talk, win Schuler Spreadability 2025 fall football season. Original sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. The Spreadability, the snacking elite that is Win Schuler's. Chris Hagan.
It was that bloke talking all funny over here. Guy got a funny accent over here.
Well, I'm not telling you. Hey, Tony was awesome right there.
Oh, yeah, he knew his stuff.
Well, let's hit a break.
I wanted him to say aluminium.
Yeah.
But you didn't get him to go that way.
Well, yeah, I thought I was talking like Chris Lowe or Neil Tennant. I wanted to sing West End Girls to him, but I think he might have been offended by that.
I don't think that's the flagship group of England.
Hey, quick break. We'll come back. Hagen's here with First and Joel. And Joel A. Erickson on the other side. Bud Light Blue Friday. Gigi's Bar and Grill, 71st and Benford, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
with JMV.
But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tony and Warren, I think it's only right that we get them into Bullseye. Bullseyeventgroup.com. The Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration Sunday. Doors open. I'm going to be there coming up at 12:30. I think the doors open at 1, around 1:30, something like that. So, yeah, all you can eat, all you can drink. And, look, if you're going to Bullseye tomorrow, I'm going to give away more passes on this show in a minute. But if you're going to Bullseye on Sunday, Tony and Warren from London, England will be there. They're making the trek. They were here last night for OKC, and I should say the Pacers, IU, UCLA tomorrow, and the Titans and the Colts coming up on Sunday. GG's Bar and Grill. Bud Light Blue Friday, 71st and Bedford. That's Chris Hagan.
Why don't you just say from London?
I should say
London, England.
London, England.
Yeah, hayseed.
That's kind of like the hayseed in me right there.
They're all the way from London, England. Yeah,
there is a
cool.
London, Kentucky, right?
How about Game 8 of the NBA Finals last night? That's what it felt like.
It did. It was great.
I don't like the way they did the schedule because they had to play Oklahoma City in the first game, so they couldn't make a big deal about the banner.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference fan.
You can't unveil the banner because the team that beat you is right there going, oh, nice banner, we won it all.
The NBA completely blanked the Pacers at the start of the season.
Oh, yeah, they got OKC, and then they got to go on the road for 3 games. I'm worried they might start this. You don't want to start this season 1-3 or 0-4 and pushing a boulder uphill. Given the injuries you already have, some guys will be back this year, some guys won't. But as far as that one single game, hell of an effort. Took them right, tooth and nail. And I heard you coming in. I heard you talking about SGA there, and he's going to score. He can score 50 points a night if he's shooting 25 free. The guy shoots like 90% from the free throw.
Any jackass
it's
can
unbelievable.
Do that.
I could do
Seriously.
that.
Yeah.
And you talk about a jackass.
But he is a great player. He's the MVP. But it all starts in how the officiating begins. And these 3 nerds out there blowing the whistle, all 3 of those pipsqueaks. And you saw, and Josh Tivins is one of them, and we hate him. He's awful. And every time something goes haywire, I like Scott. I'd rather have Scott Foster than I would have Tivins.
Well, I will say this about SGA is I had a chance to talk to. There was a long run, that 7-game finals, and he's a nice guy. I mean, super humble.
He's great. He's just doing what he can do.
Yeah, he's not blowing the whistle.
Huh.
And until that whistle changes, he's going to keep doing it. He's going to keep scoring 40 points a game or 55 points a game, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I don't know what this season has in store, but for that single sample size, 1 game, Pacer fans had a lot to be proud of because that was a hell of an effort from everybody they put out there.
Chris, they are still tough. They're still tough-minded, tough-nosed, and we saw that from Shepard. We saw that at times from Walker. We saw that from guys that we hadn't really seen that consistently from, and that is about it's almost like it's a program philosophy with them right now. That's just who they are, even missing a ton of guys.
As they like to say now, it's in the DNA.
The DNA.
Hey, I heard you talking about going to like an all-you-can-eat place.
Me?
Do they laugh at you when you go into an all-you-can-eat place now and go, this guy's eating two things of cottage cheese. We're going to make money off of this guy.
I can eat some cottage cheese. I've not been in an all-you-can-eat place.
Now, when they see me come into the all-you-can-eat buffet, they're like, uh-oh, we better look out. This guy's going to eat 5
like the Duff's. Remember Duff's smorgasbord when it was on that rotator and it would go in the kitchen?
When I worked in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and made like $12,000 a year. My big day was I'd go into Ryan's buffet, and I would eat enough food to last me for a week. And I'd have to like waddle out of there, and it was funny because that was something you really enjoyed. But now you're like, oh my God, I can't go in there and eat all this food.
Well, the Duff's smorgasbord had the rotator, right? The rotator, and it would go in the kitchen and then come back out, and then all the grandmas would stake out as they try to get the freshest of the fried chicken that first popped out.
I mean, there's some strategy when you go into a buffet here.
That's Jimmy right there, the owner of GG's Bar and Grill, Chris Hagan.
Jimmy, listen, I got to talk to you about the. No, I'm just kidding. I was here. We were at we had the cathedral. We had the cathedral fundraiser. I emceed that. Then we all came here, and it was awesome. Where did I see you? Somewhere else though.
On the Caesars flight.
Oh yeah, we were on the Caesars flight. Yeah. Don't tell people I like to gamble. I keep that a secret.
I think they know that by now.
Hey, you talk about it all the time.
I do all the time. Bring it up just because I know you don't want me to. Hey, joining us now from First and Joel A. Erickson of the Indianapolis Star and Joel A. Erickson of Fox 59, along with Chris Hagan. joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hello, Joel.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Hey, Joe, I'm going to start right here with this Colts game. How monumentally awful would the Colts have to be to lose to this crapwater Titans team on Sunday?
I've been looking at this all week because you feel like usually when they play a bad team or when somebody's a bad team, there's usually like one thing that they do well. And the one thing the Titans do well is that Jeffrey Simmons still plays for them, but he's hurt. So this team is they're bottom 5 in rushing, they're bottom 5 in passing, they're bottom 5 in situations. They're the number 32 DVOA teams. That means they're the worst team overall according to that metric. We would have to turn it over 6 times and maybe give up a couple kick returns to lose this game, I think.
Yeah, every week we do the Joel A. Erickson's keys to the game, and this week I was like, Joel, other than show up for the game, what are the keys? Because it is one of those complete mismatches on paper. It's equaled for the biggest point spread of the season at 14.5. But, Joel, in the locker room, you couldn't get anybody to talk bad about the Titans, and they were talking about what a good football team this is. And, Zaire Franklin was making a point that, maybe fans don't realize how much parity it is in the league and how hard it is to win. They have to have that mindset, right? Because if they go out there and then they go 3 and out and there's a punt return for a touchdown at 7-0, and then you give up a pick six, crazy things happen. But we agree that just go out there and play average basic football and you should be fine.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the other thing is this team probably has a good sense of what can happen. The Colts weren't good last year, but they weren't as bad as the Giants. And we kind of saw what happened there when things started to kind of roll, downhill against them. It can get away from you real fast. I think that's part of it. I think the other part is that I get the sense that with Shane Steichen at the helm that he kind of, when he's got the right personnel there, he kind of looks at these games as like, yeah, let's really get after them. Like I think that's how he sees every team, regardless of how good they are. And then you go up against these teams that maybe aren't as good, and so you're still getting the same version of Shane that you would get normally. And I think the team probably takes its tempo from that.
We're also talking with the team about how do you, when things are going so well, how do you go into the film room and improve and try to find bad things when so much has been going well? It is interesting to know that everybody said, well, you can find mistakes, but they're easier to point out when you've won the game and when you're winning. And it has been interesting to see leading the league in scoring, but believe it or not, they have been leaving points on the table. And, this is a game where you can clean some things up, and it might not matter, perfection or execution against the Titans, but some things could be learned that help you down the road.
Yeah, I think so. I think the other thing is just you get a chance here against the Titans where you've got big games coming up, like really big games. I think most Colts fans look at a road trip to Pittsburgh and go, I don't really care what the Steelers look like. That's a tough road trip. They go to Berlin after that against the Falcons team that's pretty good. They're not back home again until the end of the next month. So there's a chance here to kind of gear yourself up, I think. I think anytime you kind of let go of the rope a little bit in the NFL, you put yourself in danger of that happening week after week after week. And so I think you look at this as, yeah, we had a big game last week against the Chargers. That went well. We've got to get ourselves geared back up for these big games that are coming up now.
Joel A. Erickson of the Star, First and Joe on Fox 59 joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Chris Hagan is also here. I'm JMV, and we're live at Gigi's Bar and Grill. 71st in Bedford on a Bud Light Blue Friday. So Josh Downs and others, how are we feeling about that? And then, Joel, I'll go ahead and ask you a little 2-for-1 question here. I suggest that, without a doubt, Chris Ballard has to make an adjustment, meaning a trade deadline deal. Do you expect that? How good do you feel about that happening prior to that November trade deadline?
I mean, I think it's obvious they need help on the defensive side of the ball, especially with some of the injuries at cornerback, and some inconsistency in the edge rush. I think there's an obvious way to upgrade there. The thing that gives me pause is just that we haven't really seen Chris Ballard do this before. in terms of the trade deadline. On the injury front, Downs has been cleared from the protocol, so he's back. Sounds like Doolin's back. They won't have Ebicom this week. I don't know how much we're going to see Tyquan Lewis do if he's not downgraded to out, in the next couple days. But to me, I think with the injury situation at corner, kind of the way the defense has played in certain spots where quarterbacks have gone off against them with good quarterbacks coming, you want them to make a deal. Like I said, the thing that gives me pause is Chris Ballard hasn't done it before. Now, the flip side is I think he's pretty much handled this entire offseason a little bit differently than we've seen him do it in the past. So with this team, I think you try to make an addition.
Well, yeah, you say Chris Ballard hasn't done this before, but he also hasn't had a team that's 6-1 or 7-1. And also, let's remember a change in ownership. That could factor into as well, like how aggressive things might be and what the word is from the top. But I think one thing about, I don't know if you guys watched the Chargers last night, but Colts fans need to be happy they didn't see that version of the Chargers pass rush on Sunday, because they look like a completely different team last night. Granted, they were playing against former Colts legend Carson Wentz. It is interesting to see. This is uncharted territory. We keep going back to the 2009 season when the Colts were 14-0. Every win they stack and everything they do has been first time they've done this since. So it is something different for the franchise, and that goes to the head coach and it goes to the GM as well. So it will be interesting to see how they handle this, because after tomorrow or after Sunday, they should be sitting there still with the best record in the NFL and midway through the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the other thing is we have seen a little bit of a different approach specifically at cornerback, I think, this offseason, just in terms of they went out and got Mooney Ward. They signed – Corey Ballantyne didn't work out, but they signed a depth piece kind of in that T.J. Carey mold. Then they drafted one with Justin Wally. And then when they had injuries there, they went out and got this is another move that didn't work, but they tried it, going out and getting Xavier Howard. They traded for Mekhi Blackman. He's been so aggressive about that corner position and making sure they have enough there. We haven't really seen him do, I think, to this level with any position before. We've seen him make additions in the offseason and free agency. We've seen him make big money acquisitions. I don't know if I can remember another time where all the way through the offseason he's continually used his resources to get players at a specific position the way he has at corner. And I think maybe that's a sign that maybe there is hope for Colts fans that there will be a move coming.
Yeah, I just think that you're in this position right now, and there has been a not-so-subtle change in philosophy. And even though they've always, at least in Chris Ballard's history, Joel, talked about the future, man, you got to live in the now right here. It was like 8 years going into 9 now with the future, and the present is what you have to concentrate on, because you're not going to be promised being in this situation. This is such an incredibly enviable situation, not just within your own division, but in the AFC. You'd be a fool not to take advantage of it to the fullest, and that's why if there is some availability, whether it's an edge rusher or somebody in that secondary, I think you got to go out and you got to be as hardcore as possible to get that person.
I think the other thing is that the guys that seem like they were going to take your first rounder it does not appear that they're actually going to be on the market. The Bengals, I'm kind of assuming the Bengals are going to be 4-4 because they're playing the Jets this week. So you don't really think Trey Hendrickson's going to be available. The Raiders have said that Max Crosby's not going to be available. Like, those first-round pick type of guys are guys that doesn't seem like they're going to be out there. And that, to me, suggests that, if you're paying a mid-round pick, third, fourth rounder, that's the kind of pick that Chris Ballard is really good at getting back once you get to April. So, I think you can with the eye to the future or whatever, you can get back some of that future going forward, even after you make the deal this year.
Does it feel like, this is for you, Joel and John, does it feel like now the national narrative has shifted, that the Colts are for real and Daniel Jones is back? Or do you feel like there's still kind of let's wait and see. They've had a couple good wins, but I'm not a believer. Do you think nationwide that people have bought in?
I was reading a story on I think ESPN the other day, and I thought that they still kind of weren't getting it. just from a football perspective, the writer was saying, what if this team has to play from behind? Will the passing game work as well playing from behind? It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of the way they're playing offense right now. They're not playing, we're up so we can freewheel it. They're just going, what does this defense do? What do we have that attacks that? And that's as simple. That's the approach. It's not about game time or whatever like that. You saw last week, some of us probably were thinking run on that third down. They threw it to Alec Pierce because they had the right, matchup there. I think they're still not quite getting exactly what's going on with Daniel Jones and the Colts offense, just from a standpoint of I have seen some people say, well, you can't really expect Daniel Jones to play like this all season. I just don't think they're quite getting exactly what they're doing yet.
People ask me this all the time, so I'll lob this to you, Joe, before we let you go here. You mentioned Alec Pierce, and you think that his game and just how important he is to this offense and what we've seen from Daniel Jones, has it been more clear now to you that he is a have to bring back, as far as the future is concerned, which is a decision that they're obviously going to have to make at the end of the year?
Yeah, Chris Ballard, I don't think would generally, if he's talking about, his general philosophy, would talk about spending a lot of money at receiver. But I just think with Pierce, we're kind of at the point now where what's the thing that he can't do for you? Now, he's not playing the high volume role because he doesn't have to. They've got Warren and Pittman and Downs and all these other guys they can throw the ball to. But what's the route that he can't run? What's the route that we haven't seen him do this year? And that's something that you don't say about Alec, that we haven't said about Alec Pierce in the past. But if you have that kind of player, I'd try to keep him around. Now, I think the rest of the league is going to see that as well, and so his price tag is probably going to be higher than most people are thinking. But yeah, it just feels like he's made so many big catches in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8, in addition to the deep ball this year, that it just feels like he's a very important piece of this offense that I would try to keep around.
I know he would have been an important piece of backyard football when I was like 10 years old in Alabama, when we'd run the standby play. Hey, just go deep, and I'm going to throw it up there. Because that guy, it's amazing how many times he goes deep and they throw it up there, and somehow he comes down with it. And he's just a likable guy ever since he came in. And he seems, he takes it all in stride and he keeps it in perspective. He's a real team guy. And he comes up with big plays when you need him. So, yeah, I would think that would be a guy you'd ready to open the checkbook for and take care of.
My understanding, too, is that he wants to be a Colt. That's my understanding, is that Alec Pierce wants to be a Colt going forward.
Yeah.
And it just has to be, you're not going to do that you're not going to leave a ton of money on the table when you're in his position. But my understanding is he wants to be a Colt.
Well, hey, Joel, you mentioned this too. He's gotten better at really everything that the position entails. It's just not a jump ball. But I will tell you this. He gives what many people felt Daniel Jones did not have the arm strength to go deep. Deep ball, he gives Daniel Jones the deep ball threat that's necessary. And I think you take that away, you don't have anything right now to replenish that, and that takes away a bit of a threat right here. And you love how the playbook is wide-ass open with Shane Steichen and the quarterback Daniel Jones. We have seen that so far through 7 games, and I don't think at any point in time you want to lose that aspect.
Well, the other thing is you think about, you feel like if you let a receiver go that you're just going to get that player back in the draft. But that's not necessarily the case. You look at Pierce. Now, Pierce, I do think that a lot of some of the issues with his production, which again, this is a guy who was over 550 yards both of his first 2 years in the league. But some of it had to do with the quarterbacks not throwing it downfield. But it took 2 years for people to really feel like, okay, this guy is a real weapon. You're looking at it now. You use a second-round pick on A.D. Mitchell. He's another guy that we're 2 years in, you're not seeing it with him. That's a second-round pick. I'll go outside the Colts with it. You look at the Chiefs, they've run through how many different speedsters trying to get the deep ball back in their offense, and a lot of them haven't worked out. So it's not as easy as, we just let this guy go and replace him in the draft and we've got the same thing next year. It's not as easy as people think it is. And I think the other thing people maybe don't realize is they think, you got a deep guy, just throw him deep. Well, everyone in the NFL knows that Alec Pierce is a deep guy. And yet, he still gets free for one like every game. So he's at a different level than I think most deep threats are.
But I think that brings us back to one thing, John, as you talk about what about next year and what about – I think the whole focus right now is on this year because you don't know how – will Daniel Jones be the same next year? Will somebody get hurt next year? Will somebody leave? This is the time they have to seize the moment, and that's something Zaire was talking about the other day. He says he knows this is not normal. He knows this is different, and he's very protective of what they have going right now, and that's why they are looking at this Titans game like, you know what? We're not going to come out there and half-ass it and just show up. We're going to have to bring it all because these wins are going to count just as much against games against good teams, bad teams, whatever. You got to stack them up and see where you end up at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, I know, Chris. You've been saying this on the Blue Zone all season. Basically after the first win. But you want to stack these games as much as you possibly can. You take every win you can get early in the season because we've seen, things change halfway through. You might get an injury. You try to put your foot on the throat of the rest of the AFC South, and hopefully you can't really do that with the full AFC, but you try to do it with most of the teams in the AFC and run yourself out to as good a seed as you can possibly get going into the playoffs.
Joel A. Erickson of the Star. First and Joel coming up on Sunday, right?
The runner-up name for that was Joel Line Stand.
Joel Line Stand.
What?
The worst part is Hagen. Chris told me to spend a month thinking about what I wanted to name the segment, and I didn't come close to First and Joel or Joel Line Stand. It never occurred to me that my name rhymes with goal. Not once.
That was the key to unlock the whole thing, and now we got it.
Joel, appreciate you, man. Next time you got to show up, though. We don't like the fact you're not face-to-face here. That's probably
He got in trouble with the family when they found out he was out there drinking cold beers.
Yeah, well, we get over that. I'm a good liar for you, Joel. Just let me know if you need me. Okay, buddy?
Well, it's hard, though. It's hard to tell them that you're in one place when you're on the radio and they can listen to you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I kind of tell the story, too, I guess. I'll just make something up. Don't worry. I'm a good bad influence is what they call me right here. Joel, I appreciate you, man. We'll see you on Sunday.
You bet. Sounds good.
Joel A. Erickson, Chris Hagen, JMV. Let's take a break. We'll come back. GG's Bar and Grill with Mike Wells at the bottom of the hour. Don Fisher coming up after 5. Got to get here on a Bud Light Blue Friday. I've got Titans Colts tickets. That is Jay on the north side right there cheering loudly with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, let's go ahead and cue this thing up. We got Pacers double overtime loss in their opener last night against OKC to talk about. Chris Hagan, JMV. Hello, Chris.
Hey, look at Ann Richards, local legend.
Hey, the soothing voice.
When I hear music like this, I think Ann Richards should be introing it.
Soothing. We're going to let somebody else do this from ESPN Radio.
Oh, no. I know it's coming.
Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. Mike Wells, take it over.
Put on your red dress, put on your high heels, and some of that sweet perfume. It still smells good on you. Slide on your lipstick and all your head down.
I like it. I'm falling in love all over again right here.
I'm gonna show you tonight will be a special night. No matter where we go to White Castle. I just want to let you know.
There you go. Ann Richards is thinking, I probably could do that too with Johnny Gill right there. Mike Wells of ESPN Radio bringing in the incredible voice and the sounds of Johnny Gill. Hello, Mike. How are you?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing today?
How you doing, buddy?
I wish we had over the years, if they would just clip every time he sung and you could sell that. I would buy that CD of Wells' greatest hits and misses.
Can I start an OnlyFans singing on 107.5? You think
What's
I
he
can make
saying?
any money off that?
Oh, you can make a lot of money. They'll pay you to stop.
Yeah, I think they would. I always say, because, you struggle with the fact that you're a little bit behind, and that's not your fault because you're a little bit delayed. So you hear it about, half a second or so. When Johnny Gill hits that high note, you're following up with that high note.
That's why you got to be here in person with us, Wellesley.
Yeah.
Listen, that's the best part about it, though, because clearly people listen who are on Twitter, or I'll see some people on the ballot. They're like, "Do you know you sound horrible and your voice, you don't even match up with the song?" I just want to say, no beat. I know that already. That is the whole point of me singing. I suck singing, and the way it makes it sound like I am trying to play catch up to the words. But we've been doing it for so long now. It's a Friday staple. We don't do it.
It is, and we're not stopping it. I don't care what anybody says. We are not.
You remember a TV show Remote Control with Colin Quinn?
Yeah.
Sing along with Colin.
Ken Ober.
Yeah, and Colin Quinn would sing along. His voice was horrible, but you loved it because it was part of the show, and it was funny. That's the way Wells is.
100% right there. Absolutely 100%.
Where y'all at?
GG's Bar and Grill, 71st and Benford. It is a great establishment with our guy Jimmy and Bud Light right now. You're missing it.
Listen, Hagan must really, really love. He must really, really love hanging out with you because he's a West Sider with me, and if I'm not mistaken, 71st and Benford, is that on the east side of town?
Northeast side, yes. Yep. Very easy to get to right up here, too.
But it is Friday. We know Hagan does not work on Friday nights. You got high school football playoffs starting tonight, and Hagan is going to be enjoying what Indianapolis has to offer while he's not working.
Are you?
I like to enjoy myself when I'm off. Last week I had to make the trip to L.A. with the Chargers. I come out with John on Friday, so it's actually been a long, rough haul in my life.
Hey, get the hell out of here. You went out there, you landed. You went to In-N-Out Burger over there by LAX Airport. You walked around Muscle Beach over at Venice Beach, and you probably got onto the Ferris wheel over at Santa Monica Pier. So I wouldn't call that work, brother. And it's not work when you're covering a football team that has the best record in the AFC.
They had some good food too, Wells. We talked about it last week. I don't know if you heard when we talked about it with Joel A. Erickson about when you're in the media, you judge those trips by how good is the media food.
Well, hey, that and Stephen Holder, I was talking to Stephen Holder, and I was like, man, this is a hell of a year for great road trips. You got 2 trips to L.A. You're going to my hometown of Seattle. Then you get to go across the pond to Germany. So this makes up for all the bad years of horrible quarterback play, questions with the head coach, questions with the general manager. You get to live the best life, Hagan. Please tell me you're going to Germany next month.
Hey, don't sleep on Kansas City in that barbecue. Now, I went to Frankfurt a couple years ago. I went to Frankfurt, so it'll be Chris Widlick going to Berlin this year.
Man. Hey, Willie's boring. Why are you sitting him? He's gonna be a grandpa going to bed at like 7 o'clock at night.
Those remarks were made by Mike Wells, and Mike Wells exclusively.
You don't want to go to Berlin anyway, do you? Because I sure as hell don't.
You know what?
I know that.
That trip, being there is fun, but when they send you over there for all that money, they expect you to actually do a lot of work.
Do some stuff.
That's a pain in the ass. I didn't sign up for that.
But you want to go there for the food, don't you?
Oh, no, I didn't like all that sauce.
No, man.
I had some schnitzel.
That's Ann Richards, by the way, who was with us.
Hey.
Talking it up
Listen
from
to that,
B105.7.
listen to that broadcast
Hey,
voice.
Wells, listen to this broadcast voice from B105.7 right here.
Listen to you guys. I have waited the longest time to see you two perform together.
Oh, really?
And this has been awesome
Is
to
this
watch.
a great performance right here?
It is a great performance. I'm so proud of both of you guys. I'm so happy to get to know both of you.
We love Ann, and we're even better when Mike Wells
And
joins.
you add in Mike Wells. That's the trinity of Friday fun right there. Hey, Wells, one thing I did enjoy.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Wells.
I was gonna say, nice to meet you through the phone, Ann. And you do have that succulent radio voice. You should maybe join the yard.
Oh, you are. Who paid you for that? Thank you.
God.
Well, she's not prime rib, Mike. What the hell?
I don't think you need to get a thesaurus. I think that was the wrong word.
Hey, you know what?
Hey,
I may
listen,
sound smooth, but you know what? I want to do sports.
Do you really? Well,
I
you
do.
should, yeah.
I would love to do
Well,
sports.
then ask Wells a question about the Colts.
Ask Mike a question about the Colts. Go ahead, Ann.
About the Colts?
Yes.
What is the thing you like most about the Colts?
Man, well, hey, I don't know. You might want to take the radio after that question, man. I'm not sure.
Mike, I got this one for you. Last year would have been not covering them anymore.
There you go.
But
That's
now
right.
it's different. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, this year you got to love them.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, this year has definitely been different. Honestly, the best part about the Colts this year is that I don't have to come on Fridays or look on Twitter and listen to people bitch and moan about Chris Ballard and the quarterback situation. There's positivity about this football team right now because, man, I don't know if you're a diehard Colts fan or from a media perspective, you paid attention to them. It's been abysmal since August of 2019 with this football team, with the exception of the 1 year that Phillip Rivers came in and got them to the playoffs.
Oh, you are so right. And, you know, what is the one question you've always wanted someone to ask you about the Colts, but no one ever did? What is it you would love for the world to know?
Man, you got me thinking on that. Probably who's the biggest a-hole on the Colts that I ever.
Come on, baby, think.
The biggest a-hole that I've had to cover on the Colts. That's probably been the question mark. And honestly, they haven't really had, when they had the linebacker who was from the University of Florida, he was barking at the police when he was in college. You remember the name of him, Jay or Chris?
Mike Peterson?
No.
Before Wells' time.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Well, he was a linebacker from Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually, maybe they don't always win a lot of games, but there's usually good guys in the locker room that you don't want to sit here and cuss out when you see them on the street.
I tell you what, Wells, you talk about, winning cures everything and some sad times. I was in that locker room, obviously, after the game in L.A., and then this past Wednesday.
Antonio Morrison.
That's who you did like.
Yeah, Antonio Morrison. That's him. Yeah.
You talk about maybe there were some questions about Daniel Jones and who we picking to be quarterback, but you go in on a Wednesday and you see a little pep in everybody's step. You see some smiles and laughter. I mean, winning makes everything better. It makes your meals taste better, and there's just a really positive vibe in there right now. And it's kind of one of those things like when your pitcher's throwing a no-hitter, you don't want to really talk about it too much, but you don't want to do anything to jinx it. So whatever they're doing right, and they're trying to stay the course. And you can feel that. You've been in locker rooms when things are bad. You can feel it in the air, and when things are going right, it's completely opposite.
No, it is. And listen, we talk about the players and the vibe in there. Hey, John, you look on Twitter, some of these media people, they love, you see pictures of them, they got big old grins like they're excited to be in the locker room covering them, or they like to enjoy and let everybody know what questions they ask. So I like to sit back from a distance, and I'm enjoying the excitement from everybody in that Colts organization, including the media.
Hey, Mike, before I let you go, I do want to work this in. We got to take a break, but I want to work this in quickly. What did you think about the Pacers' debut last night and that double overtime loss?
Listen, that's going to be the case. They're going to compete every single night. I love Rick Carlisle as head coach. Ben Mathen's got to quit moaning and groaning when things don't go his way. Shane Gilchrist, man, you talk about a guy who's got the officials under his thumb and can get any call he wants. But they're going to be scrappy every single night. They're going to win some games they probably shouldn't win. But it's not going to be a couple years ago where it's going to be ugly losses and stuff like that. They're going to compete, and they're going to have any amount of wins they get this year is going to have to be a grind out for them. It's going to be a grind it out. Sometimes it'll be ugly wins, but they're not. It's not going to be as disastrous as some people may think without Tyrese Halliburton.
Well, hey, buddy, it's good to hear from you as always. Love having you back here as the staple in the 4 o'clock hour. You enjoy that sports weekend, and we'll rock it again next Friday. How about it?
All right, fellas, you guys be good and take care. Dominate yourself. Talk to y'all later.
There you go.
Thank you, Mike.
That's
Great talking with you.
Mike Wells of ESPN Radio right there.
You like that succulent voice.
Succulent voice.
Put that on your business card.
The succulent voice of man. Hey, when are you on, B?
When am I on?
Yes.
My schedule has changed, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Well, tell everybody when they can hear you.
I am definitely on from noon till 6 on Saturdays and Sundays, and then I'm filling in during the week at times. So,
Well
yes,
done.
you can still find me on B105.7.
And she'll always be on when I'm at the dentist. That always makes me feel more comfortable. I hear her. I'm like, okay, it's going to be all right.
What is it about dentist's office that
You're
love
there.
me?
You're
I don't
always
know what
there.
it is.
That's why you guys get good numbers, too.
Hey, there you
man.
go,
I'll tell you
babe.
about
There
that. I mean, because you guys are good, too. But
Hey.
actually, Ann's right before me on
Yes,
Saturday
I
night,
am.
right before
and
the
your
JMV
takeover is amazing.
Oh,
We-
thank
we-
you.
We always love when you take
thank
over
you.
the show, so it's fantastic. Love listening to you.
Thank you, Ann. It's good to see you. Oh, legendary. The succulent
her daughter
voice.
Sarah has a somewhat succulent voice, but not quite as succulent.
And I
She
got to
look
say
at-
something about
Okay.
GG's. This is the place you can come to where they always know your name.
There you
that
go.
That cliche works right here.
Very
so
Cheers-esque.
come to GG's.
Right
That's
here
right.
at GG's. Sarah looked at you really funny when you said that right there.
That wasn't the worst you can do.
Was not the worst. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Hagen's going to rejoin top of the hour. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher with UCLA in Bloomington tomorrow. 11 o'clock, your coverage begins with the pregame show coming up tomorrow morning on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Chris rejoins and Don Fisher top of the hour. Bud Light Blue Friday. GG's 71st in Benford. Titans Colts tickets to give away with our friends from Zinc. Outstanding on a Friday with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
The only time I have my radio on is in my car, and the only thing I listen to is JMV.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
The legendary voice of Reb Porter. Thank you, Reb. Hopefully Reb's listening right now. Chris Hagan, JMV.
I'm listening.
Appreciate that. GG's Bud Light Blue Friday. 71st and Benford. Boilermakers and Matt Painter talked about how important this game was. This is like the third straight season they played this so-called exhibition game on the road in what is, I guess you could reference as a hostile environment. Creighton and Arkansas prior to this year going to Rupp Arena down in Lexington. That's an SEC network game, I think, later on tonight at 6 or 6:30. I'd have to look and see exactly what time that is. I can't see because it's too. There we go, 6 o'clock for that.
And you play games like that because you're already planning for March.
Right.
You want games like this, and you know what? Maybe you start the season not undefeated. You're not the last unbeaten in the nation.
Yes.
Whatever. You don't care if you're fall the number 9 in the country. You're building for bigger things. That's something Painter's talked about, and something that you can see where it pays dividends months later.
Darren DeVries and IU, by the way, they do something similar, but they're going to play at a neutral floor, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, against Scott Drew and Baylor coming up on Sunday.
Doesn't sound like
1 o'clock.
Doesn't sound like a neutral floor.
Yeah, I guess it's a neutral floor, is it not? The IU fans will be there. Downtown will be pretty fun. You got that going on. That'll transition into the Colts game. Should be fun.
This is a great time. I think maybe Monday. I think Monday will be the night where you have MLB, NHL, NFL. You'll have all 4 of the major sports going on the same day because you'll still have the World Series. And by the way, the World Series is available on Fox 59 starting tonight, 8 o'clock.
How about that? Later on tonight, 8 o'clock. Who you got, Toronto or L.A.?
Dodgers in 6.
Sure, right? Too much pitching, too much hitting. And especially if one of their supporting group guys gets hot, like Edmund, for example, then you're really screwed.
Yeah, that Kike guy, I've lost a million bets because that guy gets some kind of
pain in the
bull
butt.
crap. I don't like him, but he's good. In the playoffs, he's good.
He is. Hagan and I on the other side. Don Fisher, UCLA, IU, Bloomington tomorrow. The second-ranked Hoosiers, 11 in the a.m. Your coverage begins here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Don Fisher is going to join us, and the spreadability of Wynn Schuler's is easy to find. Your favorite Meijer location, Gordon Food Service, fantastic on crackers, on chips, on burgers off the grill too. The spreadability Jim Jr. of Wynn Schuler's. You can find it in your favorite grocer's refrigerator today. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher, with us next.
With JMV.
We have the holy hand grenade.
Yes, of course. The holy hand grenade of Antioch. Right. 1, 2, 5. Lisa, 3.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
JG's Bar and Grill. This is 71st and Bedford on a Bud Light Blue Friday. You guys are awesome. Jimmy is the owner. Say hello to Jimmy.
Hey,
Harold is here. Yeah, say hello to Jimmy. Tony from London, Warren from London. I can't say England. Even though you may think that I'm talking about two dudes from London, Kentucky.
London,
right
Kentucky.
now.
Yeah, they drove up.
Anyway, Dev's the on-site engineer. It is James back at the studio. 5 o'clock hour we go, and the voice of the Hoosiers is going to be live, local, and late breaking from Bloomington tomorrow at 11 a.m. across the network right here on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan, that is your IU football. The second-ranked Hoosiers, your pregame coverage as they welcome in the UCLA Bruins tomorrow for that kick at noon. And the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher, pulling double duty this weekend, I'm assuming, too. Also, a little IU hoopage coming up on Sunday. Don's with us right now. Hello, Don. How are you?
Good, John. How you doing?
Don, are we going to our table tonight at 6:45? Did I hear that accurately today?
You have the correct time, sir.
I'll hustle ass up to get down there as quickly as I can. However, Hagan, the gentleman sitting next to us, may have some bad news. Hagan?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. It might be good news that I'm not coming.
Oh,
but
okay.
I have a previous engagement, Don. So I didn't find out about it until today. So I was already had something on the books. But, I'm always ready and eager to get an invite. So next time, a little heads up and you can count me in.
Well, I never know until the day of, if you know what I mean. But we will invite you again at some point.
You can see Don paused a bit to think, am I upset he's not coming? I can tell you one thing you're not upset about, Don, is big noon kickoff on Fox tomorrow. It's going to be the full deal on Fox 59. Alex Pillow, the 500 champ's going to be down there. So you talk about a purely Indiana day, and I've been making the joke lately that in 49 states it's just football, but this is Indiana. When you have the Colts' best record in the NFL, you've got IU, number 2 in the nation, undefeated, and a lot of excitement. Maybe a month ago, you think this would be a cakewalk, but UCLA's kind of found something here since they made a change at the top.
They have no question about that. Their quarterback has looked really good in these last 3 ball games. He got beat up a little bit last week, but I know he's going to play in this matchup. And I'll tell you what, when you get a ball club like UCLA they've always had talent. They've always had skilled players, those kinds of things in California and wherever they get them out of the portal in that regard as well. But they've got a lot of skill out there, and they obviously have a renewed and invigorated ball club after the firing of Deshaun Foster. And they brought in Jerry Neuheisel as their new offensive coordinator, and I don't think there's any question they're in danger right now. And Coach Cignetti talked about it on the talk show last night, indicating that he thinks this is a really good football team right now, and they're 3-0, and that's the way they're playing it right now, is that this is a ball club that's undefeated in this particular coaching group.
Telling you, Don, he is spectacular at a lot of things, but business as usual. Staying, I guess, as you would want to say, humble and making sure these guys keep their eyes on things that really matter. He is exceptional at coaching that up.
That's exactly right. And, he plays that down a little bit because obviously as he calls it, he doesn't want his players to get a hold of any of that rat poison that people try to feed them. But at the same time, there's no question that he believes this is a really talented ball club, and they've got tools, and they've got a lot of skill, and there's no question that they're going to be a handful tomorrow if Indiana doesn't play up to what they're capable of doing. And there's no doubt this ball club, for the most part this year, has played very well in virtually every ball game they played.
The hardest thing to me as a head coach would be, it's one thing when you have the climb and you're trying to get to the top and you dangle that carrot in front of the team, and now you're kind of like, you're a little bit like you've been to the playoffs last year, and now the team and the fan base, they're all kind of like, all right, well, let's get to the playoffs. We're gonna make the playoffs again, so let's just start thinking about that. But you have to have that day-to-day process because there's no given. These are young kids, and if they do start believing the hype and you stub your toe here and there, despite the success, the playoffs are not a given. The conference championship game is not a given. And so you hope that the team is living in the moment more so than the fans and the media, because we've already played this thing out and have them doing all these things that they haven't actually done yet.
That's exactly right. And social media plays a big role in this too. So if you're on social media, and I know that Coach discourages that a little bit, but I don't think he's not naive. He knows that these guys all aren't. They have social media accounts. They're listening to what everybody's saying at this point. But then they come to practice and they find out very quickly, if they're not focused, that he knows they've been paying attention to the rat poison. So I guarantee you, he's addressed it this week. There's no doubt about that. And I really believe this team is probably one of the best teams at understanding that you have to do that you have to be able to do that. And I think the coaching staff and the players that they got from JMU last year really, really talk about that a ton with their teammates, because a lot of these guys are new to the program this year. And you know, those guys have adapted to all the sayings and all the things that Coach Cignetti talks about. But at the same time, they still pay attention to the social media, and everybody wants to hear how good they are, that kind of thing. And you've got to keep these guys grounded. If you don't, that's when you get in trouble.
That is voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher. 11 a.m. your coverage begins with IU UCLA lead-up coming up tomorrow morning, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. So you brought this up, and we've talked about Mendoza, fantastic. Surratt, Cooper, fantastic. You know, the two-prong running attack has been great. But you said this before anybody else watching this offensive line work, that it was maybe the best that you have seen, maybe you have ever seen, you are going to see at an IU football program over the case of your time in Bloomington and doing play-by-play for it. Has it lived up to that expectation so far for you, Don?
It has, no question about it. I mean, Fernando, you can see how much confidence he has standing in the pocket now compared to what he did when he first got here in the spring. And I know nobody had a chance to see that, but I did see it in spring ball. I saw the happy feet with Fernando. He had been sacked 47 times a year ago, and he was a little bit shaky out there at times if he got a lot of pressure. But as the spring went on, as the fall came to fruition, and now this season, you don't see hardly any of that anymore. He is really focused in on what he's trying to do every single day, and Cignetti has said this too about him, that he is every single day trying to get better, and he works at it as hard as anybody on this football team on a day-in, day-out basis. So I think Fernando deserves all the credit he's getting at this point. I don't think there's any question he looks like one of the top quarterbacks in the country, if not one of the top 2 or 3. And I'm just elated that he's with Indiana University right now. And his brother Alberto, I talked to their quarterbacks coach last night on our talk show, and he says that Alberto is the same kind of kid. He really understands the game, really appreciates the work ethic and all those kinds of things too from Alberto. So, you know, even if Fernando goes to the NFL this year, and I think most people believe he's going to, I think Alberto will be sitting in the wings waiting for his opportunity.
Don, you know I grew up in SEC country, so I grew up going to games in Tuscaloosa and Auburn and Baton Rouge. And the thing about a game day was it was instilled generation after generation about when you arrive, when you go into the stadium. No matter if you're up 58-0, you stay to the end. They know how to be fans of a top 10 program. What have you seen from the Hoosier fan base? And a lot of them are listening right now. What would you want to say to them, and what have you noticed about how they've adapted to this is how you behave at a top 5 program? This is when you get there, and this is when you stay, and this is how you act, and this is how you give the credit to the team that's out there getting it done.
Well, I will say this about the fan base. They have adopted most of what you've talked about there in regard to coming to games early, tailgating, having a great time before the ball game, then getting in the stands, staying there. They didn't do that great last week, even though it did rain, and it was raining pretty hard. And, of course, there was a delay at halftime and then beyond halftime because of a lightning strike in the area. It took about 30 minutes to get rid of it. About 19 of those minutes were after the halftime ended. But the fact of the matter is most of those people did come back in. There were quite a few students who did not. But at the same time, I think our fan base really understands how important that the energy that the fan base generates is to this program and to this team. And that's a big part of college football these days. It doesn't matter what the weather's like. You have to dress up for, 10-degree weather outside, that kind of thing, and it's snowing, or whether it's raining or not. You've got to be prepared for that. And I think most of our fans understand that, and I think it's definitely gotten a dramatically amount better in regard to the fan base and understanding what it takes to be a college football fan at every school, much less Indiana.
And it's not only important to the current team, but think about recruits that are at that game, or recruits that are watching on TV, or guys that might be entering the portal. They want to see that and go, wow, there's really something going on. That's a place, that's an atmosphere, and that's a place I want to go be involved with. You don't want a recruit or a guy that might be coming up in the portal to see, a half-full stands just because the team's up so big.
That's exactly right. That's a big part of it. There's no doubt about it. You got to be there. You got to stay for the full amount of game time. If that's 3 hours, if it's 4 hours, whatever it may be, you need to be in those stands and rocking and rolling with your football team. And I think that has changed pretty dramatically at IU. It's still not perfect, and it's still not as great as it can be, but it's definitely gotten dramatically better.
It's Don Fisher, voice of the Hoosiers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. The one thing that stood out to me, Don, and I don't think I've ever seen it this consistently with an IU football team ever, is their physicality, especially up front. You mentioned the offensive line and what you thought when you first saw it, but I would also challenge with the defensive line as well. I don't know if I've ever seen an IU football team this consistently, physically outpacing the opposition as we've seen this group.
Well, and I agree with that, John. I was questioning the defensive line going into this season because they lost two mainstays from last year, James Carpenter and C.J. West. Both those guys were terrific for this football program. And I questioned whether or not we were going to see, the guys that took their place be as effective. But I would argue that these guys have been just as effective. I'm not saying that they are more so with those two guys that we just talked about being gone, but they have equaled, for the most part, what those guys have done. I mean, 4 more sacks last week, 9 more tackles for a loss. A lot of those were involving the linebackers because the linebackers have been playing spectacular football. And I even hate to think that Aiden Fisher's not going to be here next year because he's been such a tremendous leader on the defensive side of the football, not just with his linebacking group, but with the entire defense. And he is looked up to by even the offensive guys in this football team. So this is a really good defense. It's better than I thought it was going to be. Signetti said last night there's still 2 or 3 spots that we're not very deep at. We can't really afford any losses. And one of those spots was Kellen Wyatt's spot, that defensive end position, where he had really gotten good and really had played some great football this year. And then he comes down with an injury during that ball game and then has to leave it. And it looks like he's out long term, even though they haven't said he's been ruled out for the rest of the season, but it doesn't sound good. But what I will tell you is that we talked about Stephen Daly last night, another guy from Kent State that came in, plays that same position, has been sharing that spot with Kellen and with Mikael Kamara. And without doubt, this kid's really good too, and he's a really terrific athlete. That's the one thing that Signetti said last night, that he was really, really a great athlete, that there's no indication there that he wouldn't be some super if he'd had another year or 2 to play with this program. But he is probably the guy that they're going to stick in there tomorrow for the most part, along with Mario Landino, who's a sophomore and played a lot last year and can play either inside or outside. So I think they're still in good shape there. It's just a matter of how good Stephen Daly turns out to be. And if he plays like he has the last couple of weeks, he's definitely going to be a factor, just like Kellen Wyatt was.
They fish after tomorrow, 3 of the final 4 on the road, but IU will be significant favorites in all 4 of these games. But when you start looking big picture, and we're looking ahead, we talked about you don't want the players to, but when you're doing so well and you want to nitpick, what are some issues or some things you would like to see addressed that maybe, won't maybe affect the Hoosiers tomorrow or next week, but something that you're like, okay, when it gets down to top 5 competition, what's something that would be a concern, if even that's a word?
Well, I don't really know. Chris, I can't state that I've seen anything that really concerns me at this point. Every challenge that Indiana's had, they've been able to handle. The one thing that they didn't do a great job of was against Iowa when they faced a really strong physical football team in that matchup. And the possession time that Iowa had in that football game from an offensive standpoint, that was a concern. So I would say and UCLA is another ball club that Cignetti's warned about being able to possess the football for long periods of time. In fact, he said they're averaging in these 3 games that they've just won, they are averaging right at 36 point or plus minutes a ball game from the offensive standpoint. So they're going to try and keep the ball away from Indiana, much like Iowa did. And the question is, can they do it? So we'll find that out tomorrow. But that would be one area that I would be concerned with, is that Indiana has got to, in that case, in that situation, that defense has got to come up and maybe get some turnovers. They didn't have a turnover last week against Michigan State. And that's one area that I know that Cignetti is addressing with his football team, that they just haven't had as many turnovers, forced turnovers this year as they have in the past. They've had plenty of guys with interceptions. They just haven't forced fumbles very much. And, that's what really good defenses are capable of doing. We just haven't seen that many fumbles by the other team.
So ironically, Fish, the one concern about IU is they've been so much better than everybody. It's funny to think about that you want to have that game at Iowa. I thought was the one where you're like, okay, this is going down to the fourth quarter. This is going down to the wire. But you're really, when you get into the playoffs and Big Ten championship games and things like that, you want to have at least had a couple times when you're in the meat grinder of a 60-minute game and this is coming down. You don't want a team to get in a situation where they're like, oh, hell, we've never had somebody be up on us 4 points with 5 minutes to go. What are we going to do now? So as trivial and as dumb as that might sound, sometimes you see a team that does want to have a game like that along the way before you start getting into the one-and-dones.
No, you're right, Chris. I can tell you that Iowa game and the Oregon game were 2 games that I really wanted to see how Indiana would handle that kind of thing. I thought they handled it great against Oregon. I think against Iowa, they were able to handle it, but it wasn't perfect. And one of the reasons that Iowa kind of fell apart there toward the end was that they lost their quarterback in that ball game. And Indiana was able to take advantage of that. And that was on, they were able to score that touchdown against the Iowa defense, which was critical. But the offense wasn't moving the ball as effectively after their starting quarterback for Iowa went out of that contest. So I still want to see that. I want to see that again. Obviously, against Oregon, they played. Nobody got hurt for Oregon. It was a critical factor guy, and they still were able to handle that situation against what I think is one of the most skilled teams in this league and maybe in the country, in the Oregon Ducks. So I was very happy to see that. But again, I think you get into one of these very physical, tough, hard-nosed football games, and a team is able to keep the ball out of your hands offensively. That makes it really difficult. And Indiana's defense will have to step up in that big regard tomorrow.
Don Fisher's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So you got IU, 11 a.m. Your coverage begins 93.5, 107.5. The Fan in Bloomington versus UCLA. Exhibition style in basketball, Darren DeVries and Baylor, the matchup with Scott Drew coming up on Sunday at Gainbridge Fieldhouse at 1 o'clock. What are you thinking about that?
Well, I'm excited about it because obviously, and look, I love Pat Knight and I love the Marian University. One of my sons went to Marian, and I respect the heck out of that program there. But they did not have the talent level that Indiana put on the floor, or the toughness and the ability to just guard you. I mean, I was really impressed with how hard Indiana played at the defensive end in that Marian ball game. And it'll be interesting to see if Indiana can continue that under Darren DeVries here in this next matchup, because the Baylor Bears have always been a good program since Scott Drew has been there. I think he's only had 1 or 2 losing seasons in his 23rd year now. They didn't have a superstar year last year, but they had several really good players, and they had to renew, just like Indiana. They don't have a single player on their team that was a player last year in that roster. So it's interesting to me that that all these teams now are coming in, and Baylor's one of them, that's got a brand new ball club, and they're trying to figure it out too. And their exhibition ball game, Baylor's exhibition game prior to this one tomorrow, or on Sunday, I should say, that game was against Grand Canyon, and that was Bryce Drew. And Bryce Drew's team, Grand Canyon, is a really good basketball team, and they gave Baylor all they could handle. 79-74 was the final count, Baylor winning that ball game in Waco, but it was no easy test. And so I think it's going to be a real challenge for Indiana on Sunday too, and I'm going to love that because I think they need that kind of a ball game to get them ready for the regular season.
Well, I talked to Matt Painter earlier this week, and they're playing tonight down at Rupp against Kentucky. It's like the third year in a row they've gone on the road and played in what we would like to describe as a hostile environment. And he says he wants to see, even with the veterans on his team, he wants to see how his group responds in a situation like that. And I'm assuming Darren DeVries wants to see how his team responds to, a higher level of talent like Scott Drew possesses with Baylor coming up on Sunday as well. It just makes a great deal of sense, especially with those teams that have to start against really good teams early on without a lot of work, and those that certainly have a great deal of unknown, like we go in with this IU team, getting used to one another.
Yeah, that's exactly right, John. You've got to have competition to figure out exactly where you're at with your ball club. Marion didn't put up that much of a fight. I think Baylor definitely will. And then, of course, they've got Alabama A&M to open the season on the 5th of November. But that's followed up by Marquette. And so Indiana's going to meet some challenges here in the early part of the season, especially when you consider that Marquette's one of the better teams in the country. And, of course, Shaka Smart is their coach, and really a great coach. And it's going to be interesting to see how Indiana handles these early season matchups, because there are several of those, Kansas State being another, and, of course, Kentucky. So you've got some challenges there in the opening part of this season.
Hey, Fish, none of us really work for a living, me, you, or John, but this time of year when you have the crossover, basketball and football, and then the last year and perhaps this year the crossover lasts even longer, how much time are you shacked up there in the office and getting flip cards ready and looking at pronouncing names and making sure you know some stats and figures and such?
Well, needless to say, it's really cut into my golf game, and it really ticks me off.
I bet that. Hey, by the way, we've got a Edgewood sighting on the road at Scottsburg later on tonight, Don.
Yeah, they're going down to Scottsburg, and we'll see if they can win this first game in the sectional. I'm excited for Scott and his ball club. My son Scott, who is the head coach at Edgewood, and they've had a really good season to this point. They're 5-3. They're a ball club that has won more games this year than they did in the previous 2 years since he's been the coach. So they've kind of turned it around a little bit, and it would be absolutely wonderful if they could pull out this first sectional ball game and maybe even make a little run for the sectional title. But we're not going to put our cards all in that basket just yet because there's no way to know that. But Scottsburg's a good program. I know Scott's concerned about this ball club, so if they could knock off Scottsburg tonight, I would really be excited, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I would tell you this: if they do that tonight, I might even buy my son dinner for a change.
Oh man! Well, I'm buying me beers later on tonight at our table. I'll be down there about 6:45 or so on the inbound. I can't wait.
Here's the good news: I don't have to buy beer for him and you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't eat, so all I do is drink. So you got that plus. That's a plus right there.
John's going to have the cottage cheese platter.
All right, buddy. 6:45, Joe and Ginger. Here we come at our table down in Bargersville later on tonight. I can't wait to see you, buddy. Thanks for the invite.
All right, guys. Nice talking to you, Chris. You gotta have to clear your schedule here now and then.
No doubt.
I'll be ready next time, Fish. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Don. We'll see you in a bit.
All right, guys. See ya.
Don Fisher, voice of the Hoosiers. Hey, by the way, if anybody down in CG or around Bargersville, that's voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher and I think Susie will be along too, the awesome Susie Fisher, for a little fun down at our table, a hangout down near my house in Bargersville.
I was afraid, and I'm sure Fish was afraid, that you were about to announce that he was going to buy everybody a drink.
No doubt.
Hey, Don Fisher will be down there. He's going to buy everybody around. So
they always end up buying my beer, and I go, "Oh, you don't have to do that." But in my mind, I'm going, "Oh, that's cool. You're doing that. I'm glad." So yeah, tonight our table, great play. You've been there before with us.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, good time. All right, Chris, John will rejoin on the other side too. Harris Hoosier Park race of the day that's coming up. But first things first, let's take this break. We'll come back. A lot on the table, including Titans and Colts coming up on Sunday. Pacers embark on a ridiculous, thank you very much, schedule makers of the NBA road trip right out of the gate after that double overtime loss to OKC last night. Andrew Nembhard latest, and Mr. Basketball in the state of Indiana, a friend of the show, Braylon Mullins. Some bad news coming out of UConn regarding him to start the season as a freshman in stores. We'll get to that for the Greenfield Central standout coming up in just a bit as well. The Stream the App, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Stay right there. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We're putting the band back together.
Forget it. No way.
We're on a mission from God.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
This place is called Gigi's Bar and Grill. My man Jimmy is the owner. Jimmy is awesome. I saw Tommy S. in here. Tommy S. took me to the game last night. We got our first loss going to Pacer games last night. So Tommy Sutton and I, Tommy's over there with Jimmy right now, coaches downtown. Tommy Sutton and I went to the game together. First loss ever with us going. The environment was awesome. The fans were great. How they handled Nancy Leonard in that moment of silence and then your standing ovation was absolutely incredible. Impactful it was. And then the Pacers lose in double overtime. Now, granted, I could have sat here and you guys would have absolutely loved me ripping on the officiating the entire time, and I could have done it today if I wanted to. However, I think we know this score. And until further notice, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to get to the free throw line like he did last night. And especially if you got three pipsqueak officials like we had last night blowing the soft whistle early, that's going to maintain throughout because then you set a precedent for how the game's going to be called, and that's what happens. So, yeah, I know that part stinks, but I will say this. Given the circumstances, the double overtime loss, Benedict Mathurin having an outstanding game then fouling out, Aaron Nesmith not having an outstanding game and fouling out, the pivot giving you absolutely jack squat, which is problematic, and Andrew Nimhart going out early in that game with that shoulder injury, and you're having to mix and match even more than you're mixing and matching to start the season anyway. The one thing that we saw that should be relatable to everybody and will always, or at least to me, should always make you feel good is the fact that that is a tough-ass group. They are tough. They are still exactly who you want them to be. As competitive as anybody, no matter who they roll out there, no matter what lineup Rick Carlisle has to find, these guys are tough and hung in there. It was a bummer that they lost, and I understand that. But that's why I love that group. That's why the team a year ago was my favorite of all time, and it continues with these guys because they play every single moment how you want basketball to be played by the team that you follow. They do. And again, I have no reason to blow sunshine up your rear end after a double overtime loss. And it's going to be tough to start this season. But something I can always get behind is when you know that a group goes out there and they play their ass off. That's exactly what they did last night. Through it all. Through ridiculous whistles. Through fouling out, injuries, different circumstances. That's what I love about this group. And that's why I like them as much as I do. So, I mean, overall, don't get me wrong, overall, the game stunk and it was bad that they ended up losing. And I know that you're in a part of society and in sports now where, if you lose, if you don't win, you're like second loser, right? But I just thought last night in that case, it was outstanding the way that they played. Now, we'll see how they end up getting through stuff coming up here. Tomorrow night in Memphis, Sunday in Minnesota. Yeah, you go back-to-back. And then at Dallas on Wednesday. The NBA schedule makers just with an absolute turd in the punch bowl start of the season schedule they put together for them. Yeah. I saw Adam Silver there last night, too. Speaking of problems. But no, the one problem I don't have is how hard these guys go at it. And that's exactly how you want it. You want to see the pace more? Hopefully at one of these days that the pace, hey, good to have you. Thank you. Hopefully one of these days the pace gets up there. And then T.J. McConnell, once he returns, you could tell that was missing last night. A lot of things that were missing. The 5, I don't know what you're going to do hopefully somebody can step up to be just a little bit of what 33 was here. And as much as you hated 33, 33 is 1,000 times better than what you saw last night with that three. That trio, you got to be better. Maybe they will. Hopefully they will. Yeah, last night was not it in double overtime, but you can tell it is still a group that plays hard, incredibly hard. No doubt about that. So I mentioned, too, this is where all the avenues kind of meet here, right? So you got sports tonight. I mentioned you have Purdue on the road at Kentucky. That's an SEC network start time at Rupp Arena, an exhibition game, but Matt Painter told us earlier this week that that's exactly what he was looking for, that hostile environment at Rupp to start the season with his group. 6 o'clock down in Lexington for Purdue and Kentucky later on this evening. I mentioned IU. We were talking about that with Don. IU and Baylor coming up at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That is on Sunday afternoon. It's a precursor, if you want to look at it that way, as the Titans and the Colts coming up on Sunday as well. You have IU and Bloomington. That's a noon kickoff, 11 a.m. Your coverage begins coming up tomorrow right here on The Fan. Tomorrow morning on The Fan. Have you covered with that, too. You've got IU, UCLA, Purdue, and Rutgers. That's coming up tomorrow at noon, and Notre Dame is idle. And a big weekend of sports. It's all getting together here. You got World Series Game 1 later on tonight. A lot to pay attention to. So, really, this is that moment where everything, and I mean absolutely everything, is going on. Outstanding. It truly is. Gigi's Bar and Grill is also outstanding on a Bud Light Blue Friday. Titans Colts tickets we are giving away. Give you a chance on the football toss to get signed up to win tickets to go to Las Vegas as well. And what is going to be a busy weekend. I shall explain coming up on the other side from the JMV takeover tomorrow night on B105.7 to what is going to be the ride to kickoff starter from the BullseyeEventGroup.com Colts VIP tailgate on Sunday. That begins at 12:30 in the early afternoon. I'll get to all that and set the stage for a fantastic sports and entertainment weekend for you. That coming up in just a second. But right now, 50 in betting, 50 in dining. That's what we're playing for. The Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. Somebody is going to win it. We'll end the week in style. 50 in betting, 50 in dining. Your Friday edition of the Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. Here it is.
The Ride with JMV.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Chauncey Fascination with Kim Becker was the winner right here. Paid $4.60, $2 bet. $2 exacta was $24. 50-cent trifecta, $8.80. Harris Hoosier Park Race of the Day, Tony Rentz. Thank you very much, Harris Hoosier Park Race of the Day. That's Tuesday through Friday right here. I send out a horse at JMV 1070 on X. You pick that horse, and you could end up winning 50 in betting, 50 in dining, courtesy of Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino. That is in Anderson. I love it. Tony Wren, shout out to you, the Harris Hoosier Park Race of the Day. All right, got a lot to get to as well. The final, 20 or less, probably a lot less than that before we get the Colts Happy Hour at the top of the hour. I did want to remind you, too, coming up this weekend, we got a lot going on, too. World Series Game 1 coming up later on tonight. That's L.A. and Toronto, of course. You know that to be true, to decide the World Series of 2025. Then we've got a weekend that is busy, absolutely busy with college football, with NBA, back-to-back games, Memphis and Minnesota for the Pacers coming up this weekend for you, too. And then Colts pregame coverage starts, guys, with me at 12:30, the ride to kickoff. BullseyeEventGroup.com and the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. That is logically where it all begins. Hey, Laverne and Shirley, shout out. Spin off of Happy Days. Thank you very much. Nah, seriously, that's where it all starts coming up on Sunday. We'll look for you there when the doors open. And then American Family Insurance Touchdown Town. That is the Colts pregame huddle. Begins shortly thereafter, 2:30 until 4:30, or a little bit before that. 4:25 is the, check that, I'm sorry. What did I say, 1:30? 12:30 for me at the BullseyeEventGroup.com Colts VIP tailgate. 1:30 until 3:30 will lead you up the countdown to kickoff coming up on Sunday to make sure you have that all accurately done. And you can join us. If you did not win tickets to check out the BullseyeEventGroup.com Colts VIP tailgate coming up on Sunday, you can go ahead and log on if you like to, BullseyeEventGroup.com. I tried my best to get you guys to win. Hopefully you are, and you are going. If not, we'll do it again coming up for the next Colts home game, which, by the way, is going to be a minute on the road in Pittsburgh, and then on the road in Berlin against Atlanta, then a bye week. So it's going to be a minute before they are back home. But let's all celebrate and have a good time coming up on Sunday with whatever you're doing, especially at BullseyeEventGroup.com. And the Colts VIP tailgate. Win Schuler's spreadability. Win Schuler's spreadability. We're talking all that you need in the greatness of snacking right there. Original sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar. It is awesome. And you're going to find it in your favorite grocer's refrigerator. In fact, here's where you can find it. You can find it at your favorite Meijer location. The spreadability of Win Schuler's. Outstanding. Meijer, Gordon Food Service, and more. Yeah, I was, somebody just turned me on to that. Actually, this 317-239-1070 is the text line. And I want to give credit where credit is due. JMV, check out what Tyrese just posted on X. It's great. Is that the him Duncan? Week 17. Yeah, this is make sure I'm right about that, would you, James, back there too? It is Tyrese Halliburton throwing down a dunk in week 17, coming off that Achilles injury right there. Yeah, gives you reason to feel good about how the rehab is going to. And no doubt from an important player. And you saw that last night. As much as, thanks, guys, good to see you. As hard as they played, as much as they were into it throughout the course of that game, the whole pace of the contest, when McConnell gets back, it will be better and more consistent. But until that point in time, you're going to kind of look like they looked a lot last night, especially, hey, guys, against a really good defense of Oklahoma City. It was a bummer of a double overtime loss. But still, there was a lot to feel good about right there. Yeah, 4 minutes ago. Thank you, James. 4 minutes ago, it was Tyrese Halliburton. You can check that out, too. That is his X-handle, throwing down a two-handed beneath the rim standstill and jumping dunk 17 weeks after getting that fixed. So, yeah, the 17th week for Tyrese Halliburton. And there you go. That is a good sign. Make no mistake about that for the Pacers. Pacers, Memphis coming up tomorrow. Pacers, Minnesota. Back-to-back, Saturday and Sunday. And, yeah, there is no doubt how difficult that is to start. Tomorrow, and then again on Sunday. JMV, as a former Post player, I agree with your comments on Miles Turner in the post. I'm also pretty sure you have never thrown the ball into the post. Shooter's got to shoot. And, listen, I'm not going to be completely hardcore about the whole committee trying to play the 5 in for Miles. But here's what's going to happen. People want Obi to be the starter at 5. I think Obi's going to be the finisher at 5. I don't think he necessarily has to be the starter. But what you have to locate is anybody. And I mean anybody that can add anything to that 5 equation right now. Would you get about 13 minutes out of Jay Huff? I'm assuming at some point you're going to get more. He knocked down a 3, he had a nice block. You got virtually nothing out of Isaiah Jackson because all he did was commit fouls trying to set screens. And then Tony Bradley, gave you the backup Tony Bradley big type of minutes, and James Wiseman didn't play. So I'm not trying to hold on to yesterday with 33 here whatsoever. What I'm trying to tell you is that is going to be very difficult to make up right there. Like, I'll give you a great example. When T.J. McConnell returns at full strength and healthy, hopefully, then you're going to get T.J. McConnell pushing the pace, and he pushes the pace as much as Tyrese Halliburton does. But what you're not going to get ever is in that pivot, in that 5, somebody that gave you what 33 did, even when you became incredibly annoyed with him, like in the finals last year, or felt he wasn't rebounding enough, or was too soft, or not hitting wide open shots. It's going to drive you nuts because that's something this team right now, even by committee, just can't find. I just don't think it's going to be there for him. Hopefully it is. Hopefully that was game number 1, and that's all that matters. But I don't think you're going to find that. Really find that anytime soon. And certainly it was problematic for him last night. But again, that was a good team that they're playing, especially when SGA goes off for 55 and goes to the free throw line 25 or 26 times. That is normally going to sink anybody. And listen, I mean, it sunk. You saw the double overtime matchup they had OKC with Houston going back to Tuesday night. That situation sunk them as well. At JMV, Matt Taylor did his JMV impression this morning on the morning show. It was epic. He is really good at doing his performance of me. He's got that thing down. Shout out to Matt Taylor for that, too. Appreciate it. JMV, I'm a diehard Butler Bulldog fan, season ticket holder with the exhibition with Indiana State coming up. I thought I would extend an invite. Thank you. A ticket to the game. I would love to do that. The Wildman Hospitality Room. Let's get that in motion. Hey, by the way, I did get a text, speaking of Indiana State, and thank you for that invite, from their head coach, Matt Graves, this morning. I had sent him a text, of course, triple bypass. When he found some tightness in his chest, he had triple bypass surgery earlier this week. He said, appreciate the text, hopefully going to get to go home at some point this weekend. So that is the best of news regarding Matthew Graves, the head coach of Indiana State, hoping he's going to be available to go home this weekend. Triple bypass surgery over in Terre Haute for the head coach of the Sycamores. So hopefully that's true. But that is certainly a quick turnaround from something that was really scary. And you guys are asking about Braylon Mullins in his situation. I did actually promote that a little bit earlier. I hate to hear it. Braylon Mullins out of Greenfield Central suffered an ankle injury in practice earlier in the week. This is according to John Rothstein, expected to miss approximately 6 weeks. of time. Braylon Mullins, the freshman at UConn. And Josh is a good friend of this show. Those guys are awesome. The folks are awesome over in Greenfield. And shout out to Braylon, who is going to miss approximately, from what's being reported with that ankle injury, about 6 weeks of his freshman season at UConn. That is a monumental bummer right there, to say the least. So about 6 weeks with that ankle injury for Braylon Mullins at UConn. From Nick, JMV, I just got off the course listening to you guys. A beautiful fall day. Can't think of any better way to spend your birthday. Nick Martin, happy birthday to you, man. That is absolutely outstanding. Happy birthday to Nick Martin. Hey, good to see you, pal. Thanks for coming out. Guys from Zinc are here, too. And again, a shout-out to Tony and Warren from London. They went to the Pacers game last night for the first time, going to Bloomington tomorrow to see UCLA and IU. And I gave them all the hot spots in Bloomington, upstairs, Knicks, Buffaloes. But Tony and Warren also going to the Colts game coming up on Sunday. Big-time listeners to the show, participants, and joined us a little bit earlier. Tony and Warren from London, England, having themselves a Hoosier sports weekend, without a doubt. Started last night with OKC and the Pacers, and then again going down to Bloomington for IU football coming up tomorrow with UCLA and IU coming up at noon. By the way, it's 11 a.m. pregame coverage with Don Fisher, voice of the Hoosiers, who joined us a little bit earlier, right here on The Fan, coming up tomorrow. Noon is the kick down in Bloomington. Tony and Warren, man, thank you guys. Look, we got Brandon, we got Billy, we got Emax, we got Matt over there as well. Hey, Jimmy, thank you very much for having us today, and my friends from Zinc on a Bud Light Blue Friday that has been extraordinarily awesome. You guys have been great. Dev, thank you very much. So you got Home and Garden tomorrow? I'm going to be talking to Pat and Denny. Oh, you're not doing it? Cam doing it tomorrow? Yeah, Home and Garden. 93 WIBC. I'm actually going to join them at some point tomorrow. The Home and Garden show tomorrow. Should be fun. 93 WIBC. Tomorrow at some point before 1 o'clock in the afternoon when they sign off. JMV Takeover tomorrow night, 6 until midnight. B105.7, powered by Big Red Liquors. We'll start 12:30 to ride to kickoff. BullseyeEventGroup.com coming up on Sunday to get you set for the Titans and the Colts. Up next, even more, it is Colts Happy Hour with me, 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. James, take it away. We got you next.